MotoGP 2025 opened with a bang as Marc Marquez took a spectacular victory at the Thailand Grand Prix. The race, held at the Buriram International Circuit, witnessed a clever strategy that saw Marquez take his first victory with the Ducati factory team. With a controversial tactic, Marquez not only secured victory in the main race, but also won the previous Saturday's sprint race. Will Marquez's dominance with Ducati continue into the next series? Let's discuss it all. The race began with an atmosphere of anticipation as the riders lined up on the grid. Starting from pole position, Marc Marquez immediately showed his dominance with a perfect start. As soon as the green light came on, he took off into the first corner, maintaining his advantage over his rivals as they tried to catch up. His aggressive but controlled racing style immediately put him away from the chasing pack. Meanwhile, his younger brother Alex Marquez faced a tough challenge at the start of the race. After being pressured by Francesco Bagnaia in the first and second corners, Alex lost his second position. However, with a clever maneuver he managed to regain his place behind his older brother after a few corners. From then on, the two Spanish riders performed very well and showed great potential to finish the race with a 1-2, a scenario that would certainly be a historic moment for the Marquez family and their team. However, the atmosphere of the race changed drastically on the 7th lap when an unexpected surprise occurred. In turn 3, Marc Marquez appeared to deliberately slow his bike, something that is rarely done by a rider leading the race. He even looked back to check Alex's position before deliberately letting him go ahead and take the lead. This action certainly confused many of the spectators and commentators watching live from the stands or on screen. It didn't take long for the race analysts to realize the clever strategy behind Marc Marquez's decision. Apparently, he was adjusting his front tire pressure to stay within the limits allowed by MotoGP regulations. The new regulations introduced in this championship require that the front tire pressure must be within a certain range for more than 60% of the race. If the tire pressure drops below the specified threshold, the rider can be subject to a fairly severe penalty, including disqualification or a reduction in position. With his experience and racing intelligence, Marquez understood that his front tire pressure could drop to a dangerous limit if he continued to lead at high speed. Therefore, he decided to slow down a bit and let Alex take the lead, giving him the opportunity to better manage the tire pressure before continuing the fight in the final phase of the race. This strategy shows the importance of technical aspects and planning in MotoGP, where not only speed but also resource management and understanding of the rules can determine the final outcome of the race. When Marc Marquez decided to stay behind his younger brother Alex Marquez, the dynamics of the race changed significantly. This made the 5 leading riders, consisting of Francesco Bagnaia, Franco Morbidelli and Ai Ogura, even more motivated to maintain high speed and maintain their positions. Morbidelli had put a lot of pressure on Bagnaia in an attempt to gain a better position, but he lost momentum in several important corners and was unable to make his maneuver work. On the other hand, Ai Ogura, who is making his debut in the MotoGP class, has performed exceptionally by continuing to fight at the front of the field. His consistent performance shows that even though it is his first time in the Premier class, he has great potential to be a threat in the coming seasons. He even tried to overtake the riders in front of him on several occasions, providing an interesting spectacle for the spectators watching live from the stands or on screen. Meanwhile, Marco Bezzecchi, who defends the Aprilia team, seemed to have difficulty maintaining the rhythm of the race and fell behind the leaders. Although he tried to improve his time, he was unable to find the speed needed to compete with his rivals. On the other hand, Johann Zarco showed a very good increase in Honda's performance. He started the race from 12th position, but thanks to the right strategy and consistency in keeping the rhythm he managed to climb up to 7th position, proving that Honda is still quite competitive on the track. Not only that, but KTM and Tech 3 also showed positive developments. Brad Binder and Enea Bastianini successfully finished the race in the top 10, bringing a breath of fresh air to their team and showing that the KTM bike has great potential to compete with other factory teams. This result will certainly boost the morale of the KTM and Tech 3 teams to continue to develop and be more competitive in the next series. On the other hand, Jack Miller's debut with Yamaha did not go as expected. He struggled throughout the race and ultimately failed to finish in the top 10, which was certainly a huge disappointment for his team. Yamaha, who had been hoping for positive results from Miller, had to accept the bitter reality that their new rider still needs to get used to the bike. Meanwhile, 2 other Yamaha riders, Fabio Quartararo and Maverick Vinales, also faced serious obstacles throughout the race. They were unable to find a stable rhythm and struggled to keep up with their rivals. Quartararo could only finish in 15th position, while Vinales had to settle for 16th. This result certainly signals that Yamaha will have to carry out further evaluations to improve the performance of their bike if they want to compete at the top again. In the last 3 laps, the competition on the front row heated up. The group of 5 leading riders, which had previously been close together, began to break apart due to differences in rhythm and physical endurance. Ai Ogura and Franco Morbidelli began to lose their competitiveness and gradually dropped back until they were no longer a threat in the fight for the podium. This situation left Francesco Bagnaia as the only serious challenger to the Marquez brothers on the front row. Many predicted that Marc Marquez would play it safe and allow his younger brother Alex Marquez to take his first victory in the Premier class. However, those expectations were shattered when the 8-time world champion showed his exceptional competitive instincts. At turn 12, Marc launched a brilliant attack with an aggressive maneuver that was almost unstoppable, overtaking Alex with great precision. Not only that, but in the next few corners, Marc managed to increase the gap very quickly, opening up a gap of almost 2 seconds on his younger brother. Meanwhile, Bagnaia, who continued to put pressure on the riders, was unable to catch up and had to settle for 3rd place. Morbidelli, despite being in the lead group, eventually finished 4th. Behind him, Ogura put in an impressive performance, maintaining his position until the finish and securing 5th place after a fierce battle with Marco Bezzecchi, who had to settle for 6th. After the race, the reason for Marquez's strategy became clearer. TNT Sports analyst Michael Laverty explained that Ducati had probably miscalculated their tire pressure. The lower-than-expected air temperature meant that the tire pressure was not at the optimum level, although Marquez still managed to set a fast lap time. Another analyst, Cyan Gui, added that if the tire pressure was against the rules, Marquez could face a 16-second penalty, which would certainly ruin his chances of winning. By dropping behind Alex, Marquez ensured that the tire pressure remained within the allowed limits, before finally attacking again at the right time. This decision showed Marquez's ingenuity and experience in understanding the technical rules, while maximizing his chances of winning. This victory not only proves that Marc Marquez is still a major force in MotoGP, but also shows his adaptability and intelligence in implementing race strategies. For the first time since 2014, Marquez leads the standings after the opening round, reminding many fans of the season when he dominated with 10 consecutive victories. Analyst Michael Laverty highlighted how perfect Marquez's maneuver was when overtaking Alex. It's a big statement. To overtake someone who brakes as hard as Alex without going wide is something extraordinary. Alex Marquez also impressed with his consistency, while Bagnaia continued to show his mental toughness despite not being at his best. Morbidelli and Ogura also confirmed their potential with solid top 5 results. MotoGP 2025 has only just begun, but one thing is for sure, Marc Marquez is back in the spotlight and ready to shake up the season with another surprise. The question now is he really capable of repeating his glory and reclaiming the title? Let us know your opinion in the comments.